My name is James MacSwain, and I'm a senior, and which means that I'm, grew up in 1950s and in Amherst, Nova Scotia, and into the 60s and beyond.
I'm Oliver Oldfield. I'm 16. I grew up in Tantallon, and now I go to Halifax West High School, so I'm living in Halifax now.
So, Oliver, you have to ask me a question.
Yes, I have some questions.
Oh, my God.
All right. One thing that I was really curious about is, I guess, part of your coming out story, how, like, your parents and your family and your friends reacted, and how they supported you, if they did, and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, in 1950s,
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, there was nothing, right?
Yeah.
You didn't even talk about it. You didn't whisper about it.
Yeah.
You weren't, gay and lesbian and queer or whatever didn't exist, in 1950s in Amherst. But and I didn't really come out until in the, I went through the whole 60s revolution of, there was the black movement, there was the feminist movement, there was, and the gay and lesbian movement, right? Starting with Stonewall. And all those kinds of years, were, of course, there were also, as an artist, I was doing a lot of drugs, and I was doing a lot of, and, working, with, definitely other queers and other people. But, you didn't talk about it then, even then. So I didn't really come out until the early 70s, really, in here in Halifax.
Yeah.
So when I came out in Halifax, of course, my parents, my mother was long gone. She, passed in just as I was going to university. And so my parents and my father was still alive, but he was living in Amherst, and my brothers. Now my brothers, believe it or not, were very supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of course they were, a younger generation, and they weren't kind of clogged up by the, the ideology of the time, right? So kind of that feeling. So, so that's the story of that. So, but I was, of course, in a very supportive environment as far as friends and theatrical, abilities went and all that kind of stuff. As coming from Montreal, where I worked on the, a workshop about the phone line, the gay phone line, and all the rest of it there. So I was already sort of kind of exploring, my gayness in that sense, but then so it was basically just sexuality that was kind of prominent at that time. But then we started to, as we got into the Gay Alliance for Equality, GAE, and talking about all that, then there was more of a talk about gender and about what does gender mean, as opposed to just being sort of lusting after a romantic partner kind of thing. And so I was immediately attracted to the idea of trans, trans people and transgender in that sense. And so I created this character called Bearded Lady, in which, because I was quite feminine and was always viewed as, to some extent, a a feminine person. It was really sort of interesting for me to sort of take on this gender idea of the bearded lady, and the idea that the bearded lady was, across centuries, that there were always bearded ladies, in circuses, and there was always bearded ladies, like in portraiture. Once you start, once you start having a sort of kind of research into a character, you find out all kinds of different, motives and ideas about, the character that you're creating. So the bearded lady was, because I was a man, it was easy to grow a beard, so I did. And took on this theatrical, idea of, I guess it was cross-gender, in lots of ways, as opposed to cross-dressing, So, because as the bearded lady, I did speak as if I was a woman,
What else do I have?
Yeah. So, so it's so much different from, from what you're going through right now. Yeah,
definitely.
You should talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea. I don't know. Like I said,
well, I remember when we were talking before, last week, that you were talking about the in Tantallon. You had this group called Gay Straight Group, or whatever. And I always find, what does that mean? I've never heard.
I started going to the Gay Straight Alliance at school before I had come out. Supposedly because I wanted to support my mom, even though that was kind of like an excuse because I knew that I was queer and I wanted to go for myself also. And like I said, in junior high, I only really came out to like a few people. I wasn't super open about it, sexuality-wise. But when I came out as trans, which was the next year, I was a little more open about it. Just because, I don't know, I feel like my gender and my sexuality are kind of like connected, sort of. So like when I came out as queer, when I identified as a girl, it was kind of strange to say I was gay for girls because I knew that wasn't really right. Like, whenever I liked boys, I was like, I kind of like boys in a gay way. Like, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does or not, but... So anyways, when I came out as trans, then it kind of all fell into place, and I was like, yeah, I'm queer because I'm a boy who likes boys and also girls. So then it kind of felt better to say that I was queer because it made more sense. In correlation with my gender. So I didn't really come out that much until last year. And everyone was pretty good with that. I had a few teachers, really only one teacher actually, who wasn't so good about it. And was pretty rude to me actually. Yeah. But he was, he was a little older and, a little conservative and stuff.
As old as me?
I don't know.
I'm 70.
I'm not sure.
So probably he was even younger than I was.
Yeah, something else I wanted to ask was like, I guess how you came across like communities like the GAE and stuff like that, because I know like, I came across the youth project and everything else I do like from the internet. And from, Gay Straight Alliance in school and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was just kind of wondering how it was different for you to find out about things like that.
I think that there was when I came to Halifax in 1973, I was coming from Montreal, like I say, and there was some activism in Montreal that I was starting to get involved in. And then when I heard about the GAE, but how did I hear about it? Gay Alliance for Equality. I think that I looked for. I knew that there was a bar, like in the Roy Building, right? And from those people that I knew within that sort of context, I gradually learned that there was something called the Gay Alliance for Equality, and that they were meeting at the Unitarian Church at that time.
So like word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth. Yeah.